Off the Ivy, a Chicago Cubs podcast with Dan Bernstein, Matt Abaticola, and Cody Del Mendo on 312 Sports.
It's Off the Ivy on 312, brought to you by Russ Armstrong and Chicago Window Guys at 847-302-9171. Well, a lot of us had that feeling yesterday in the finale, and I told you on Friday that wind was going to be weird. And when the Cubs went down 5-0, my first instinct was to flip away and just watch golf. But then I thought, you know what? 5 isn't going to do it today. One way or another, the Cubs might win, Cubs might lose, but the winning team's going to have more than 5. And it was good reason to stick around if you know the way that Wrigley plays. All in all, it was nice to salvage something, but not great.
Yeah. Speaking of the win, on the marquee post game, right after the game, they had like one of those simulation animation type videos showing 2 balls that Jameson Taillon allowed as homers, but in calm conditions would have stayed in the park. So to your point, the wind was a massive factor yesterday. But yeah, the weekend overall, I was at Friday's game, just incredibly frustrating if you're into the whole manufacturing of runs thing. And then Saturday, I mean, that game went from we have no business winning this game to we might steal this game to we really gave this game away. Like that we got all 3 facets of those things. In Saturday's game, that was, to me, the worst loss of the season. In the first 15 games, the worst loss that I have watched.
Why?
Because I feel like you should have won that game. It was a game that, in many ways, you shouldn't have played as bad as you did the first 5 innings. But then because you were able to have better bats later in the game, Pirates bullpen not as fresh as it was Friday, you were able to make the comeback, and then given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to win the game in extras. And then the reason you lost is because Caleb Thielbar threw the ball away, and you had Matt Shaw playing first base, which I'm not really that upset about it, but it was how the game played out. It led with Matt Shaw over at first base. So the one run you give up in extra innings is because of bad defense or sloppy play. And this team, like the identity of this team has been defense for the last couple years. And so when you lose because of that, it's a bad loss. Even though to me, for the first 5 innings, they didn't really look like they were going to win anyway. But so, yeah, it was good to salvage yesterday and see the offense break out, see Michael Busch finally get a hit after like an 0-for-30 slump. Down 5-0, they showed some pride, and the win factors for sure played a factor. Dansby, I felt like Saturday and Sunday, Dansby had good at-bats. Moises Ballesteros is really starting to get it going. He hit a homer yesterday, but he had 2 hits on Saturday as well. And then, they had some good base running. Swanson had really good base running yesterday as well. Scoring on the sac fly that Bregman hit, which was more so like a infield pop-up that the Pirates just like didn't field well. They ended up diving for it or whatever.
Yeah, he fell backwards, and that's just a great heads-up play by Swanson to be alert, ready to go, and take advantage of anything that presents itself for sure.
Yeah, great baseball IQ right there, right? And yeah, I mean, the Cubs took advantage of Pirates' mistakes. Like, their defense is not good. It on Sunday, they took advantage of some sloppy defense from the Pirates late, and also the Pirates bullpen was very depleted after using a lot of it Saturday and Friday. I was a little surprised they didn't let Bubba Chandler go a little bit further into the game, considering he was shoving. But I don't know if they're managing his pitch count early, how they're managing his pitch count early this season. But Cubs took advantage of their bullpen being pretty depleted yesterday, and it's good to get the win. And Carson Kelly, we probably haven't appreciated him enough this year. If you just look at his numbers, his slash line right now, there's no regression yet. He's not hitting homers, but he's getting on base. He's hitting the ball hard. And so he deserves a lot of credit for just putting the ball in play, because it felt like on Friday that they couldn't do that. So
that slash line is 308, 426, 385, WRC plus of 141. The number that does stand out, however, is a batting average of balls in play that is a lofty 387 at this moment. But you'll take it because you need all the help you can get. I think Nico Horner's still at the 161. Miguel Amaya's at 138, but whoever's hitting, they need every bit of it right now.
Yeah, with Nico, his WAR, I don't know if you guys looked at his WAR number after this weekend. He's at a 1.4. The starting pitching was kind of the story of the weekend, because I don't want to neglect and not mention what Shota did on Friday in his start, going 6 innings and no hits, 9 strikeouts, no decision, obviously, in that game, as the bullpen gave that one up. Cabrera didn't look – it's probably his least sharp-looking game of the season so far. On Saturday, he went 5, 8 hits, 3 earned runs. Also no decision, though. And then Tyone, again, it's a win game at Wrigley. Guys are going to get hit, and guys are going to give up cheap home runs, as you mentioned there, Cody. And that's what's going to happen at Wrigley. But he stayed in for 6 innings. He threw 102 pitches. He struck out 10. The ERA right now for the Cubs is they're 6 right now in Major League Baseball in ERA. Their OPS as a team is 17th. So that's where we need to see that jump up a bit. But looking overall at the National League Central after 15 games, it's bunched up. And now the order is flopped, with Pittsburgh at top at 9-6, Cincinnati 9-7, St. Louis, Milwaukee 8-7 now, and the Cubs right there at 7-8, 1 game behind Milwaukee. Oh, how things have changed after the White Sox and Marlins series for the Brewers. So it's very, very different now.
5 in a row, I believe.
Yeah, they have. And now Yelich is out with the hamstring. There's going to be imaging on that today. That could be 4 to 6 at a minimum, maybe as many as 8 weeks.
So now I'm wondering what the numbers say about the actual expected wins, and I know you always look at that that stat, record? The third order record for us, because it just seems like the Cubs. It seems like the Cubs obviously are playing below where they should be right now after 15 games. Pittsburgh, with their starting pitching and what they've done with pitching so far, and some of their offensive numbers, guys are just hitting the ball. It still feels like they're playing above what they should be playing. So I wonder, where are they right now?
By third order record, the Cubs are in first place. The Cubs have a record of 8.6 and 6.4. The Pirates are at 8.3 and 6.7. Then the Brewers at 7.1 and 7.9, followed by the Cardinals and the Reds. So, and this is a number that is valuable. It is useful as an indicator of the overall quality. And just so you know, that we'll, especially early in the season here on Off the Ivy, I'll let you know that Clay Davenport does what's called Clay's Adjusted Standings. He is a long-time sabermetrician, very, very well respected, one of the senior BP guys. And he created this particular system to take Pythagorean record, which is based on runs scored and runs allowed, and then also factor in the quality of the opponent and the run environment of the season. It says basically that the Cubs are playing fine at the moment.
Yeah. No, they are. I mean, it's a little disappointing. They're a little below what we expect. Some guys offensively right now, but they're getting really good starting pitching for the most part through these first 15 games of the season. But they're playing a little bit. They're fine. They are fine. They will be fine. This is the best team in this division. It doesn't mean that it'll play out that way after 162. But if everything goes as it should, as baseball is a game of averages and accelerating and decelerating and coming back to the means of what you're supposed to do, the Cubs should be on top of this division. They're fine right now. So I don't want to freak out, and it's a disappointing series loss to the Pirates at home, but everything's going to be fine.
And look at the first place teams right now: Rays, Rangers, Twins, Pirates.
Right.
You want to bet that none of those teams finish in first place? I'll take all the action I can get.
I'm good.
The Rangers might be the one team out of that might make it,
or at least compete.
Yes.
Maybe they won't be there, but I think they should be competitive. But yeah, those other teams, I'd be really surprised.
I would say
to stay on top.
To play a little devil's advocate, and I generally agree with what you're saying, Matt, but to play a little devil's advocate, if if you're a Cubs fan and you're a little worried about Pittsburgh, that starting pitching is for real. Like, Braxton Ashcraft shoved it on Saturday. And the other guy that I can't pronounce his last name, I mean, he did whatever he wanted. I think the weather played a big factor for him as well as it did for Shota, even though Shota was awesome on Friday. The fastball velo up, and he generated 18 swing and miss, which is huge for someone like him and someone that we was very worried about coming into the season, just, avoiding home runs, but also can he bring that swing and miss back that he had in 2024, which he did. But back to Pittsburgh, Chandler, he is going to be a problem, man. And I think what's disappointing is that you didn't have to face Paul Skeens and you still lost the series. So I definitely gained some respect for Pittsburgh this weekend. I still think the Cubs will be better in the long run because I don't know if Pittsburgh has the kind of depth that the Cubs do. And right now the Pirates are getting, you can call it exceeding projections for certain guys. Will that continue? I don't know. But also, Connor Griffin hasn't taken off yet. We don't even know if he will, but theoretically he probably will be just based off the talent. But, guys like Nick York, like he had a great weekend against the Cubs, and O'Neal Cruz has finally arrived, and Brian Reynolds is having a bounce back season. And then Ryan O'Hearn has been a nice addition. Will he continue to hit the way he is? I doubt it. But the fact that I can name more than 3 guys in the Pirates lineup is not something that I'm used to doing over the last 10 years. So,
well, and you just watched the series too. So, I mean, it's obviously very fresh, and it's disappointing after a series loss. That Friday pitcher is Carmen Majinski. Unless Dan wants to argue with the pronunciation of it again. But here's the thing though, because you said that guys are exceeding expectations right now, and you ask, will that continue? No, it can't. It doesn't. That's how it works. That's how baseball works. That's why, Pete Crow, even though he's top he's more towards the top of the roster right now in total bases, he's just not hitting the ball really well. He's just he's struggling right now with a question of should he get a day off, and would today be a great day to give him a day off in Philly against Christopher Sanchez? It might be, but you want to take his glove out of the lineup, or is he something you got to work through this, where Busch goes 0 for 30, you give him a day off, he comes in as a pinch hitter yesterday and comes through with a huge hit. And let's not forget too, Babe Conforto with a huge hit to start the bottom of the 9th off with a double off the wall.
I saw it. I saw the Bernstein kiss of life is continuing, and it will keep going until it doesn't. So this is all gravy from Conforto. Enjoy it while you can. Can I just? I want to single out, as you're talking about these Pirates that you are lauding. I want to also say did you guys see what Sportsnet Pittsburgh did for the open of the Sunday broadcast?
Yeah, that's like the Masters,
where they did the Masters with the tinkling piano and all of the foreground shots of the flora of Wrigley.
Was it good? Was it?
It was outstanding.
Okay, nice, cool.
Yeah. It was outstanding.
I was back and forth baseball, Arlington Heights, and
I get it.
But so I was listening to the games. I couldn't see anything.
You just go back and watch. It's only about a minute, and then they sent it to the broadcasters, and they talked about welcome to this historic location, and they did the Soto Voce sort of broadcast. It was great.
So one thing I was curious to see with Seiya back. So obviously Seiya got a day off Saturday, and then he gets to come in and pinch hit. But so I was curious to know what they would do with the lineup on Friday. Like who are they? Like who's the 9?
Yeah,
who's the 9 for this team? And they clearly want it to be. They want Moises Ballesteros to be a guy in this lineup every day, and there's no reason not to at this point with how he's producing and how he's hitting. Really, because he was a guy that I kind of questioned at the start of the year, what kind of production we're going to get from Ballesteros. And now, again, it's early on, it's 15 games in, but a 294, 342, 471 slash, OPS of 813 was tied for third on the team right now, and producing. I think he had multiple hits over the weekend. This is a guy that they're projecting and want to see in this lineup on a regular basis. I was curious to see how it would break out. And as we get Seiya back in on a regular basis, the roles will get more defined and see how it's going to work for Craig Counsell.
The swing that Moises Ballesteros possesses is one of my favorites. It's one of the reasons I've been so high on this guy for the last couple years. So yeah, I feel a little, it's like you said, it's early. I do feel a little justified in his performance so far, and I love that the Cubs are giving him the run. And,
for sure.
But yeah, it will be interesting to see because clearly they're not letting him face lefties. Because on Saturday, he was pinch hit for Seiya whenever the Pirates brought a lefty in, and yeah, social media, you know how fans are. We get overreactive. I'm not one of those guys at all. But a lot of after he got 2 hits, a lot of fans were mad that they brought Seiya in to face the lefty, and I didn't understand it because we're talking about Seiya Suzuki, who is great against lefties. But that's kind of what Moises Ballesteros has done to some fans already in terms of the fact that he already had 2 hits in this game, and he's hitting, and no one else is hitting, But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do this, because if they're not going to let Ballesteros face lefties, that means on days that the Cubs go up against a lefty, he's not going to be in there. So you can put Seiya in DH and put Matt Shaw in right field if you wanted to, or you can,
or vice versa. Yeah.
Or vice versa. Or they can sit someone and put Conforto.
Conforto can play right field. Sure.
Yeah. Or Conforto in right field, right? Like there's ways they can get around it. I'm not necessarily worried about it based off what we've seen already, but as long as he continues to give good at bats, Craig Counsell's going to put him in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's exciting, and it's good to see a Cubs prospect come up and not give us like a 3-month slump before they figure it out.
Right. No, that was where my head was at to start the season. I'm glad to see that he's producing and getting opportunities and taking advantage of that. I mentioned Nico Warner is at a 1.4 WAR. His OPS still leads the team at 912. He's also tied for 4th in Major League Baseball in a category I'm going to watch all season long as the doubles. Because, again, he's not going to be a guy that's going to hit a ton of home runs, but he can slug and get those doubles and get that double number up to 30 to 35 like we talked about last Friday. I know I think I said I wanted to hit 75 doubles, but we're going to bring that down to like 30 to 35. So if he can continue doing that and hitting doubles, that's what we're going to need to keep seeing from Nico.
Yeah.
Windows matter, especially as it's starting to get warmer. You don't want that AC kicking on constantly. So you need really good windows to help keep your home your desired temperature. And you know what you can do when you need windows? You can call Russ Armstrong, because he's the owner of Chicago Window Guys. And Russ is the guy with whom you're going to deal the entire time. And this is why I've recommended Russ to friends and neighbors and coworkers, and everybody loves him, because he's replaced almost all the windows in my house. Sometimes I didn't even ask. He just shows up, and he's just there. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm replacing your windows.
Well, you remember when he showed up that last weekend and replaced your kids? That one time?
I asked for.
Oh,
so, yeah. Okay. No, that, believe me. Every once in a while, I like to refresh them. But Russ has a factory here in Chicago where he custom makes the best possible windows for your house. And it really is that easy. I know you're bombarded with a lot of different advertising for windows, and you hear about these deals that sound too good to be true about buy one, get one free. Well, it's a gimmick. They are too good to be true. And Russ is going to explain why, but he's going to match any price that you get. So if you want to go through all of that rigmarole and have everybody out and do all of these quotes, go ahead and do that. But Russ will match or beat any of these prices anywhere else. And you're going to be dealing directly with the guy who is in charge of the factory. And there's just so much more control and fewer layers. And it's Russ. We know the guy. He's one of us. So when you are getting quotes, make sure you ask that sales rep about who's installing your windows, because they're not going to know, because they use subcontracted labor. All these, big window people, they pick up people every day. Russ doesn't. He has his crew. The same people that installed my windows are going to install yours. And Russ can explain the exact kind of windows that you want, if you want the European window that opens differently, or all the complicated stuff. I just said, Russ, give me something that is going to save me money on heating and cooling, and that is easy to maintain, and that I can see through. And he goes,
how does the European window open differently?
I don't know. There's they call it, I forgot what the name is, but there's some that push outward. Like when you're you've been to Europe, you know how they open, they kind of lean out, and then You can get those if you want, is what I'm saying. I don't know enough about windows to tell you, but he does. Ask Russ. He'll tell you all this stuff. Call him. Don't wait. 847-302-9171. Check out his 5-star reviews at ChicagoWindowGuys.com. I would like to do real quick a bullpen trust check. So this is
have you guys seen my circle of trust graphics that I put on Twitter?
That's why I'm asking. I just want to make sure sort of where we are in the ever shrinking and expanding radius of our bullpen trust. Who's in, who's out?
By the way, I make that graphic in this app called Sketchbook. It's
right.
So dumb, but anyway, for me right now, obviously Daniel Palencia is the most trusted reliever that they have.
Sure,
but I think even though Caleb Thielbar had a tough weekend, especially Friday, he bounced back Saturday, and the bad throw to first base it kind of negates everything he did before he made that bad throw to first base. He looked a lot better on Saturday, so I still have him in there, and also obviously he's just been very consistent for them since the beginning of last year. And then after that, I'm feeling pretty solid about Holby Milner against lefties, not necessarily against righties, but against lefties, I do. And then after that, it's kind of a toss-up, but I am starting to really like Riley Martin, who pitched really well yesterday. And if you can develop a homegrown left-handed reliever like him, that would be a massive win for Tyler Zombro and Tommy Hotovy. He has really begun to impress me. 3 outings, he's been perfect in all 3. Ethan Roberts also. I still need to see
Ethan
more.
Roberts. Let's not.
I need to see more.
He's done. Yeah.
I need to see more, but I am starting to like Ethan Roberts a little bit. And just because I'm such a believer still, Ben Brown's 2 innings on Saturday were huge for giving them a chance. So need to see more still. He's outside the circle for me, but it was a good outing for him. So right now I got like 3 guys in there with Riley Martin. So actually 4 guys. And then Ethan Roberts is kind of, he's sneaking his way in along with Ben Brown.
Yeah. We haven't had the opportunity to talk about Phil Maton yet and his knee injury, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the knee?
Yeah.
Yes. He has a
right knee tendonitis.
He's got a swollen bad is what he has. He has acute ineffectiveness that needs,
and it's not cute at all.
Your knee hurts. Phil, come here. How's your knee? It's fine. No, it's not. Okay, fine, whatever. That's what that sounds like to me. The old phantom IL for a guy who's bad.
Yeah. So who knows what they're working on with him now during this IL stint? But again, we've talked about this multiple times already. They've got to get it figured out. They've got to get it right because this is a guy that they're going to have to depend on.
Yeah. But the article you brought up that Mega Montemurro wrote, was it last week, Dan? I mean, that I think that if you're a fan and you're very concerned about him, you should go read that article and you might have a little bit better context on why he might be on the IL like you think. And I generally agree that it is a phantom IL stint, and then they found something that is why his velocity might be a little down, and
then reset it.
Yes.
That is a trip back to pitch lab and look at everything. Maybe little breather, little reconstruction. I'm sure there might be something. Everybody's got something physical that's going on, but they've got to interrupt whatever is cascading with him. Sometimes you get to these sort of points of kinetic failure completely, and you got to get better and reset it.
Yeah. Hunter Harvey also hitting the IL yesterday. They called up someone that I'm blanking on the name currently, but to me, he's another like big, I don't want to say he's like Phil Maton, but he is making $6 million this year. And even though it's a 1-year deal, you invest $6 million into a reliever, it's a big deal. So, and he also is one of the few hard throwing relievers they have. So they need to get him right. It helps that Riley Martin, again, pitching well at this current moment. But if you can get both of them going, then you got yourself a really solid bullpen with Daniel Palencia. Hopefully you get Maton back and he figures it out, right? But, that feels like a dream right now with all those things, but we'll see.
That call up, by the way, was lefty Charlie Barnes, a 30-year-old, 6'2", 190. Anything on Charlie Barnes?
Nothing.
I got nothing on this guy.
All right, I don't either. I got nothing for you on Charlie Barnes.
But if the Charlie Barnes call up helps Hunter Harvey get motivated to pitch better, fine.
Yeah.
I do have a little trivia note over which I stumbled over the weekend that I thought you would find interesting. And don't ask me why I ended up looking at this, but as people were starting to project the roster for next year, and I read something talking about what the future of Ian Happ was going to be, and I was just looking at his production. And who do you think, by the way, for his entire career to this point, who do you think is statistically the most similar all-time major league player to Ian Happ? Who is Ian Happ's number one Baseball Reference stat comp?
For me, I've always kind of comped Brian Reynolds the same as Ian Happ, but as far as an all-time player, I don't know.
All right, I will tell you this: you can ask yes or no questions, do a little differential diagnosis, but there's a reason I bring this up. Obviously, there's a cute answer to this. So,
you got any guesses, Matt?
He's
no. Yeah, I'm trying to think of Dan's brain here.
You can. I'll answer yes or no questions because there's some things.
Is it a Chicago player?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So Ian Happ, he hits 20 homers and hits 30 plus doubles every year.
Yeah, but that don't get hung up on that. Why would I bring this up? Why is this interesting? Yes, it is a Chicago player.
Yeah.
It is a current Chicago player.
Oh.
So he plays for the Cubs, or does this include the White Sox?
It is a current Chicago Cub.
Okay.
Who is Ian Happ's all-time number one stat comp?
Interesting. Okay.
A current active.
It's not Conforto, is it?
It is Michael Conforto.
Boy.
Oh. Wow.
Michael Conforto is Ian Happ's top stat comp.
Well,
I don't know. My response is, well, okay.
So Jed was like, we need more of that, guys.
We need more Ian Happ.
And again, that's what Conforto did before he passed away several years ago. But when you start looking at these numbers, and you can start to get it. That also one All-Star appearance, a 116 OPS plus, that's 786 OPS.
What feeling did you want to muster up out of us with this? I'm not sure how I'm supposed to feel right now. I'm not sure what I'm feeling.
That is entirely up to you. I'm not going to tell you how to feel. That's for DBU.
It certainly isn't going to make Cubs fans listening to this be like, oh, I love Conforto even more, because Ian Happ is one of the most polarizing players on this roster. You either love him or you hate him. I don't understand why there are people who hate him, but there's no middle ground with Ian Happ in this fan base.
So if it plays out properly, Ian Happ leaves after this year, goes somewhere else, finishes his career until the Cubs bring him back, right before a season starts. I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years from now. Is that what we're?
I don't know. Play it out however you want. I just found that to be one of these little ways
that's interesting
that baseball harmonizes with itself.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of that. There's another stat from yesterday that I found very interesting. So it didn't work out for the Pirates, but they were on the verge of sweeping the Cubs for the first time since 2017. And I believe, or sweeping the Cubs at Wrigley Field since 2017. And I believe in that series in 2017, Jameson Taillon completed the sweep. So it was the fact that Jameson Taillon started for the Cubs yesterday is
and
what are the odds of that happening?
With that win, also the Cubs avoid a home sweep, because the last time that's happened in June of 23 is what they were saying on the broadcast as well.
All right, let's look at this upcoming series now. At the Phillies, 3 night games or evening games, all starting around 5:40. So put that down on your daily calendar. But there's 3 here in between Phillies, Mets, Phillies, Dodgers, Padres. The rest of April is real baseball here, real competition.
Yeah, and tonight you have Javier Assad getting his second start on the season against one of the best in the game to do it in Christopher Sanchez. He's had 3 starts already. He's gone 16 innings, 1-1 record, a 1.65 ERA, 23 strikeouts and 4 walks. So you're not getting a lot of freebies from Sanchez. They're gonna get lots of swings and misses, lots of strikeouts in this game. So the offense has got to take advantage of any opportunities that come. And anytime to produce runs, they've got to be there. They've got to be able to move guys over, get guys in when needed, because this is not going to be a very high-scoring game, at least not for the Cubs.
Yeah, this one, here's a take for you guys. I think they should sit Pete tonight. Like I
brought that up earlier to say, because it seems like that would be a good spot to do it if you're going to give him a break.
Yeah, or I believe they have to face Luzardo in this series too, and he's a lefty. So if not tonight, maybe the next. I think he pitches game 2 of the series. Maybe tomorrow then, if not tonight. I am. I don't want to say I'm like worried about his long-term outlook, but I am watching him just give so many uncompetitive at bats right now, and it feels like he's in his head. And it's it's to a point where he's throwing the bat again and throwing the helmet after striking out. And as much as I don't really care about that, because like I care, it shows that he cares. It's also a sign of just he's very frustrated. And Michael Busch got that big hit yesterday to snap the slump he's in. Hopefully he can start getting it going tonight. Pete is just it's been a frustrating watch.
But you need that glove out there, man. You are so much more likely to win with him in center field than a replacement level player or somebody else on your own team. The moment he steps on that field in center, he makes you more likely to win.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, if you are going to sit him, I'd rather sit him against the lefty. I think that makes the most amount of sense. But I don't want to sit him at all. I brought it up earlier, just think like it might be a good idea to maybe give him a break. But this is also who he is as a player. We see him get frustrated, slam the bat, he throws the helmet. That stuff will gradually dissipate as he gets more mature within the game. He's still a young guy, obviously very accomplished already defensively as a very young player. Had a great half of a season last year offensively. It's there. It'll get there. He just needs to, we talked about his timing and where he's at, and he's just not quite there right now. It'll get there. He'll get it figured out. I don't want to lose that glove, especially going into a series against Philadelphia. When they're playing 540 every night the next 3 nights, the weather there is going to be about 80 tonight. It's going to be 84 tomorrow, a high of 89 on Wednesday. So it's going to be warm. Maybe there's opportunities to hit. Maybe it's an opportunity here for him to get a couple of hits too and get his mind right. Because I would love, not that I care. I don't care if he slams the bat, if he throws the helmet, goes in the dugout and throws a bat, and I don't care. But if it's distracting from his ability to like regroup and concentrate better and quicker, then let's work on getting that to a point of being more mature at the plate and realizing, yeah, you know what, I was off there. What can I do to correct it next time instead of getting crazy and being angry?
I hope him and Bregman are sitting next to each other on that flight to Philly, because if Bregman helped Conforto out a little bit, I mean.
And look at Babe now.
That's what we need. We need Bregman to do that thing he does that he gets so much credit for to get Pete on the right track. And
how about physician heal thyself? Alex Bregman's WRC plus is 79. So give himself work on yourself before you start working on your team.
Historically slow starter, so not worried that much. Again, I'm not worried about PCA's long-term outlook. I'm more worried about just his confidence right now. And so, if you want to send him against a lefty, which I believe is tomorrow or Wednesday, fine. But it's just been a tough watch. So, it just is what it is. The Cubs need him to produce. That the reason this offense has been inconsistent is because he hasn't been that guy, and they need him to be at least better than this. That's for sure.
We will see if they can get it going on this trip to Philly. That will do it for Off the Ivy on this Monday, and it has been brought to you by Russ Armstrong and Chicago Window Guys. Call 847-302-9171. For Abaticola and Del Mendo, I'm Bernstein, and this is 312 Sports.
Off the Ivy, a Chicago Cubs podcast with Dan Bernstein, Matt Abaticola, and Cody Del Mendo on 312 Sports.